Things are heating up again for another action-packed episode of Dragon Ball Daima. Welcome back to Nerdslum Entertainment, everybody. If this is your first time here, I am Nerdslum here, back with another Dragon Ball Daima review. And before we get started into the review, if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and then ring the bell to receive notifications so that way you know every time I happen to upload a video. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about Dragon Ball Daima Episode 5 titled Panzy. So the episode starts out with the girl who we'll know as Panzy later on ask Goku how strong he is. He then explains it's because of the training, and then she notices his ears are round. She asks what race he is and what demon world he comes from. Goku then says he's a Saiyan, and then Glorio interrupts them, saying that he's from the second demon world, which she is obviously a bit curious about. It's at that point that Shin and Goku then compliment her on how courageous she was during that fight against the Gender Marie, and Goku even talks about her bombs and how they just didn't work. Panzy then gets a little bit flustered and asks where they're headed to. Goku tells her that they're headed towards Kadan Castle, which Shin and Glorio get upset that he told her that. But it's at that point the group brushes her off and they begin to leave, but she follows them and says that she's just gonna come along with them. So back at the town that we were at the last episode, the Gender Marie are very irritated at the fact that they were defeated by Goku, and now they're trying to figure out where he went off to and who he even is. So the one in charge tells the group to track his collar, and then another soldier tells him that since the entire incident happened all of a sudden, they couldn't tell whether or not he even had a collar. Then it's at that point that the commander, or the one in charge, ends up yelling at the group saying that they need to find the spiky haired kid with the red stick. So it's at that point we go back to the group and Panzy tells them her name, which Goku says it's a bit of a weird name. She then asks him what his name is, and then Goku tells her that it's Goku and that he has another name and it's Kakarot. She said both of those names are very weird in and of themselves. She then asks Goku what type of magic he's good at, since every Majik can use at least one magic spell. Goku's a little confused, and then he goes and touches his nose with his tongue, thinking that that's some type of magic, and Panzy is not impressed whatsoever. So Goku then asks her what she's able to do, and she is able to levitate a nearby rock for a short amount of time, even though it does seem a little bit difficult for her. She then says that her actual specialty is actually tinkering with machines, and I feel like that's going to be very important later on, especially once Bulma arrives, and that probably won't be for like another episode, but again, we'll get there when the time comes. But again, I do feel as if that's going to be a nice little dynamic between the two. Obviously, Bulma's probably going to teach her something, and then vice versa. So it's at that point, as they're traveling, Panzy asks Shin if he is a Glen, which obviously he tells her yes. She says that Shin is very similar to Dagetsu, who is obviously a part of Gomah's court, and obviously Shin is not surprised at that fact because he knows that Dagetsu is his brother. And then Panzy says that she's heard that most Glens left to the outside world a long time ago, and she wonders what a Glen is even doing here in the third demon world. Shin simply tells her that he's journeying so that way he does not give her so many details about their mission, because they're still a little worried about who she is and why she's asking all these questions. And obviously Panzy is a little suspicious since hardly anyone comes to the third demon world unless it's on business. It's at that point that Glorio tells her that that's enough questions, and that if she wants some type of idle conversation, then she needs to go find somebody else. Glorio was very stern with her, and I thought that was very telling of Glorio's character. Obviously, as we know, Glorio is definitely hiding something, and we'll get into the specific thing that he does within this episode a bit later, so stick with me, pay attention. While they're traveling, Shin comments on how cruel Gomah's Gender Marie are, and that they're draining life just because people can't pay gold coins. Panzy agrees and says that Deborah was bad as well, but not as bad as Gomah, and she also states that the average lifespan in the demon realm is 1,000 years. Goku thinks that's a bit excessive, and he asks how old Panzy is, and she tells him 82, which he's obviously very surprised because she looks so young. So it's at that point that we go through a bunch of different little scenes and whatnot of the group traveling throughout the world, and we finally get to Kadan Castle. And it's at that point that Goku comments on how it doesn't look that impressive, which Panzy then states that it's pretty impressive for the third demon world. Shin asks what kind of king Kadan is, which Glorio tells him that he probably should think of him as as an uncivilized mafia boss. Panzy, a little upset at that comment, says that he's not that bad and he only steals from criminals and only kills the bad people. So it's that point that Glorio says he wants to hear what the king has to say because they really do need to borrow a plane. So they begin to walk up to the castle. It's at that point that we cut over to the first demon world and the castle that Gomah resides in. We see a lady reading nursery rhymes to baby Dende, which is so cute. I thought this whole little scene was really, really cute. Gomah interrupts her, says that she's not doing it right and she doesn't have enough emotion and needs to make it more fun, which I thought was just wild. I'm like, bro, let her do her job. Gomah adds that Dende is an important Namekian who's eventually going to make new Dragon Balls for him. So that is a new tidbit that we had no idea that was going to happen before. So he plans on using Dende not only as a hostage, but to make new sets of Dragon Balls for him. I think that's going to be very important later on. The lady then gets back to reading the nursery rhymes with more enthusiasm as Gomah looks over quite fondly at Dende. So back at Kadan Castle, the group is stopped by guards. Glorio states that they should remember him from the day before and that he's there to speak with the king. They do end up remembering him, but they ask who the brats are with him. Panzy then pops out and asks, who are they calling brats? And then they get flustered and welcome the princess home. So yes, she is King Kadan's daughter, and everybody is surprised. Shin then says that she could have told them this a lot sooner, and Goku states that she doesn't really look like a princess, which she doesn't necessarily likes, and tells Goku to simply shut up. So they arrive in the court to see the king, who is not impressed with the people that Glorio brought to him. He believes that since they're kids, there's no way that they could have defeated Boo. Panzy says that Goku is definitely strong and he took out the Gendarmerie and saved her, to which the king is actually pretty grateful. Panzy asks why he asked Glorio to bring Goku there, and the king says he didn't, and that Glorio told him he could get someone who could defeat Gomah from the outside world. It's at that point that Shin catches the inconsistency in Glorio's story. So this is what I was talking about earlier, how Glorio is definitely hiding something. Obviously, he did not tell the group the entire truth. He kind of mixed it up a little bit. So hopefully in the next episode, we get into that, or Shin confronts him about that. Shin asks the king why he wants Gomah to be defeated, and he says that he can't be allowed to run free because he's a villain and shouldn't be Supreme Demon King. He says once Gomah is defeated, he'll become the Supreme Demon King and bring peace to the demon realm. Now, at that point when he said that, I thought he was being a little facetious, and he was kind of just being that type of guy that just wants to have all the power to himself. But in further inspection and rewatching the episode, I don't think so. I think he actually means what he says. The king then says to Goku that if things go as planned, he can marry Panzy, which Goku declines, saying that he's already married and he has children. And to people that sit there and say, oh, Goku's a bad dad, he doesn't care about his wife and kids, yada yada yada, clearly he does. So let's not even do this. Let's not even get into this. That argument is so stupid. And for those people that like to sit there and say Goku's a bad dad, you're dumb, because you don't pay attention to the series that you love and watch. You're dumb. Yeah, I said it. So back to the whole point that Goku declines the offer. The king and Panzy are actually surprised that Goku looks like a kid, even though he says that he has a wife and children. But Shin explains how they were turned into children by Gomah, and that their mission and their plan is to rescue Dende and gather the Demon Realm's Dragon Balls. The king and Panzy then are a little shaken because they tell Goku that it's a difficult task to gather the Demon Realm's Dragon Balls and that no one has ever done so. They even say that the Tamagamis are so strong that even Gomah couldn't gather the balls. And obviously, as we all know, Goku is not concerned about that whatsoever. He just knows that he has the strength to be able to get through this situation. And realistically, it's not even that. Goku just loves a challenge. Goku loves a tough fight. So he's actually looking forward to fighting these Tamagamis, regardless of how strong they are. So it's at that point that Glorio asks if they have a ship to borrow, and the king says yes, but before that, he needs a demonstration of Goku's strength. And this is the highlight of the episode, because the king takes them down to his training court or whatever for his men, and he readies his men up to fight Goku. As Goku's jumping down into the arena, he's saying this will be some good training, which the king and Panzy are a little startled by that statement. So it's at that point that the men rush Goku, and to no one's surprise, as far as the fans are saying, they all get taken out one by Goku. And this entire sequence was lovely. I loved every second of it. It's seemingly as if every single episode they're up at the ante with the fights and whatnot, and I cannot wait until we get get to some serious action within Dragon Ball Daima. And that's not saying that everything that we've seen is not serious. I love the bar fight. I love the fight against the Gendarmerie. I love this little training montage here with King Kadan's men. I loved every second of it. But it just gets me more excited for when Goku's actually fighting the Tamagamis or Gomah or any other particular foe that they're going to fight in Dragon Ball Daima. So towards the end of the battle, the King's men think it'll be a good idea to grab Goku by the arms and the legs, in which Goku responds with the Ki momentarily powering up into Super Saiyan. And yes, this is the first time we see Super Saiyan within Dragon Ball Daima outside of the intro OST, and it looked lovely. This entire sequence looked lovely. I cannot wait to see Super Saiyan, all the other forms in action within Dragon Ball Daima for real, for real. And obviously everyone in the crowd that was watching is surprised except for Shin. The King then apologizes and offers the best plane he has available and also gives them all the food and the water that they'll need. The King then confirms with one of his men if the data on the ship has been rewritten, which Shin is a little confused by, and the King tells him since this is a different ship that Glorio hasn't registered yet, it'll be a new PIN number that they'll get, since Warp-sama won't let you through with the same PIN number and a different ship. Shin asks if there is anything the King can do to help the others that are on the lookout waiting to come over to the Demon Realm without the PIN number, and the King sends one of his men to retrieve them. I thought this sequence was pretty funny as well because the dude is actually sitting there practicing his ballet before the King calls him over to ask for assistance. So it's at that point that we see Panzy walking up to the ship with all of her belongings. She's literally dragging them all over and saying that she's going with them because she wants to see Gomah go down. Before they get on the ship, Shin stops Goku and tells him that Glorio's definitely hiding something, since King Kadan didn't know they'd been turned into children, and that he said that he was requested by the King to get Goku, which obviously that's not what actually happened. Goku, carefree as always, says whatever it is, it doesn't matter, and then he still board the ship. So as they're taking off, Goku asks how long it'll take to get to their destination, and Glorio tells him it'll be about 4 days with rest breaks. And obviously Goku's not too happy about that because he doesn't want to just sit around and whatnot. And then Panzy tells him to stop complaining since the third demon world is the largest and he better be glad it's only 4 days. And then exactly at that point, the ship's engines go out and they begin to go down. And as they're going down, Panzy says that she thinks she loaded a little bit too much luggage as the plane crashes and the episode ends. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. It was a bit slow in the beginning, but as time went on, I did enjoy the things that we got to see, especially the training montage with Goku, and then when he went Super Saiyan for that little bit. I loved it. So I, again, am loving every single thing that we get with Dragon Ball Daima. And as I've said with this particular review, there were some slow parts. I'm not gonna lie, but that doesn't mean that the entire episode or the show in and of itself is not good, because all you see online is those people that are not real Dragon Ball fans, and yes, I'm saying it, saying that simply because this isn't some masculine, crazed, battle-heavy fighting anime, that this isn't good. And that's obviously not the case. Dragon Ball has and always will be about the sense of adventure, and that's exactly what Dragon Ball Daima is giving us. So if you're enjoying Dragon Ball Daima, let me know in the comment section down below what exactly you're enjoying about it, and did you actually enjoy episode 5? And then don't forget to go ahead and subscribe to me and then ring the bell to receive notifications so that way you know every time I happen to upload a brand new video. And with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next Dragon Ball Daima review. You have a great rest of your day. Peace.